What's up, guys, and welcome to another episode of The Block is Hot. Today we're going to be talking about the largest project on the Cardano ecosystem, and that is World Mobile Token. In this video, I'm going to be covering what exactly World Mobile Token is, what they're doing, what their goals are, and whether or not I think that this is actually a good investment decision or not. But without further ado, let's get into it. As I stated at the beginning of the video, WMT is actually the largest project on the Cardano ecosystem. They have a 216 million ADA market cap, which is actually 60% larger than SundaeSwap, which is the second largest project. WMT was only purchasable late last year. I believe it came out on December 23rd, and it started off around 60 cents, but it had a pretty big pullback all the way down to the floor of 35, 36 cents. It then went pretty crazy in the month of January when all of these different coins on Cardano started pumping because of SundaeSwap coming out, and it went to 88 cents. Had a pullback once the hype died down, and since then it has just been going on a run. So it went from 50 cents about 1 month ago all the way back to 80 cents, even though the entire market has been going down. So that's a 50 to 60% gain, while the rest of the market has honestly been hitting the fan. So very impressive as far as price movement with this project. Now, what exactly is WMT trying to do? Well, the big thing they're trying to do here is they're trying to solve the problem of 50% of the world not having access to internet. Now, I don't want to get too deep here, but I had made a video, one of my first videos that's pretty awful, but one of my first videos about helium and why I'm not selling my helium rewards, I kind of talked about just how important internet access is. And I think a lot of us that are watching this have internet access. And maybe we've had internet access since the internet's been around. I've been around since the internet's been around. So, I mean, I've always had access to the internet, right? But I don't think people realize how important internet access is. I mean, this is what is connecting us to the world. Kind of like, I know this is a crazy analogy, but kind of like how war was back in the day where we had swords and shields and stuff like that. As soon as we had guns, it was kind of the equalizer of man, because you could be an 8-year-old kid and have the same firepower as someone that was a Roman soldier for 30 years and was extremely trained, right? So the crazy thing is that the internet is the equalizer of man, or the equalizer of opportunity in the world today. And if you have internet, you literally have the capabilities to achieve anything. You can connect to banks, you can connect to information like watching this YouTube video. You can just do so many different things and make money in so many different ways that it really is a necessity in the world we live in. The problem that's happening, guys, is that a lot of the world, over 50% of the world, still doesn't have access to internet, which is really sad. And the reason is if you look at these different charts here, like such as Africa, it is very expensive to basically penetrate internet to these different countries that are in the middle, especially when it doesn't make any financial sense. So the big problem with this is, like, why would all these telecommunication companies drop a ton of money on building an infrastructure that's deep in the heart of Africa when there isn't a very good electrical infrastructure, one, and two, they're not going to get enough money from it. It doesn't make any sense. They'd much rather go somewhere like the US and build towers there, or maybe go to some other countries that already have a better infrastructure. So the problem is like all these people in all these different countries, primarily Africa, are lacking internet and are lacking something that in this day and age should be available to everyone, and there's no financial benefit for these companies to provide that internet. So they're literally stuck in this situation where they don't have access to all these mandatory materials we now access on the internet every day without thinking about it. So how exactly are they going to solve this problem at World Mobile Token? Well, first I wanted to show you guys this chart of just everywhere that has problems with internet access. As you see here, guys, I live in the United States and I've never had any problems. I am very privileged to have internet in my everyday life. But if you look at a lot of places in Africa, over 50 to 100% of people don't have internet access depending on where they are. And it goes the same with different places in South Asia, and then you have India over here as well. I know India is part of Asia, but you get the point. Now, the problem is it's too expensive to have internet access over here. I did a whole African studies class where they were talking about how there is a problem with the infrastructure as far as roads go, as far as, electricity electricity goes. The electricity is very expensive. They don't have the same infrastructure that we do in other countries. So it's kind of crazy, but the whole reason they don't have internet is just because it's not profitable for all these companies to provide internet to them, and it's very hard to actually achieve. To solve this problem is kind of two parts, right? So what WMT is doing is they're making a mobile mesh network. So if you see here, guys, there might be these balloons that send internet access. There might be these towers. There might be different receivers. And what's going to happen is they're all going to connect together and provide internet access. So it's kind of similar to helium miners, where it's kind of this mesh network where you have all these different helium miners at different locations. But instead, in this situation, they're going to have these different satellites, the air balloons, stuff like that. Things that are more easily achievable when you don't have a big infrastructure in places like Africa. The second part of this is just the general finances of being able to do all this stuff. And that's where crypto is so freaking cool, and why whenever someone tells me crypto is not going to be a thing or go away, I just know that they have no idea what they're talking about. Because with this blockchain, with this coin, you are now giving the ability for people like me and you to invest in their project, to help make a difference, and then also get rewarded from that monetarily and take part of this company's profits. So instead of, for example, investing in Nokia or something, and they make a 5G tower and they make money from that, and maybe their stock goes up in price. Instead of that, you are directly making money from this stuff. So if you are a staker of this coin, you are able to get like 6% interest rate over the course of 6 months. And then if you're a node operator, you're literally going to be in charge of helping facilitate all these transactions, where you're going to get a percentage of those fees, and then you can pay those out to people that are staking. So the ability to make a coin out of this, the ability for people to invest in this and make money from this, is going to incentivize people to basically help bring internet access to Africa. This is just so cool, and it's just amazing to me. Like, crypto is changing the world how we see it, and it's making the world such a better place, yet so many people still don't understand the different applications this can have and are still sleeping on crypto. It just kind of blows my mind, because I look at applications like this, I'm like, there was no way it was possible to bring internet access to Africa when you have these big companies that don't want to spend the money because they're not going to make a profit from it. But now all of a sudden, this is profitable for everyone while you're making a positive impact on the world. To show over here, guys, kind of how this works, you have stakers, which are people like me and you, and we can stake our WMT with node operators. To be a node operator, you literally have to have 100,000 WMT tokens, which at the time of this recording is about 75,000 US dollars. So I'm guessing most of you guys watching me are not going to be a node operator. But regardless, you have stakers, and they're going to be able to stake their WMT. And what happens is that these node operators are going to process all these different transactions from the users. So you have users in Africa, for example, and now they're able, through this hybrid mesh network, they're going to be able to communicate. They're going to be able to go on the internet. They're going to be able to access financial information. They're going to be able to educate themselves more. They're going to be able to know more about health, right? And they're going to be able to get all that information and use this service. And then what happens is they're going to have a WMT transaction fee for accessing this, but it's going to be way, way, way cheaper than any of the options that they already have available. Then what's going to happen is those fees goes to the node operators, and then those node operators are going to pay the stakers as a reward for helping them stake all of this WMT. I'm not going to dive too deep into the technical side. I can leave this article in the description. This article does a pretty good job at explaining it, but to give a summary here, you have 3 nodes. You have the Earth node, Air node, and Ether node. Basically, the Earth node, it's going to be the authentication module. It's basically going to be able to identify all these transactions. You're going to have the ledger, which is going to basically store all these transactions. It's also going to be the telecom module, which is going to be in charge of a lot of the different communications, and internode module as well, which means it's just connecting all 3 nodes together. Now, if I scroll down here, the Air node is basically the eyes and ears of the network, right? So they're going to be providing the coverage to the internet and all of that stuff. And then the Ether node is basically just the legality of all of this stuff. They're basically trying to comply with these different regulations in these different countries. So yeah, pretty cool. You guys can look into it more if you want, but how they're doing things is just amazing to me. Now, I know what a lot of you guys are thinking. Hey, Jay, it's cool to help the world and all, but is it gonna help my pockets, right? Am I gonna be able to make money from this? So let's just go over the tokenomics. There will be 2 billion of these tokens. 200 million was released right away, and over the next 20 years, the rest of the tokens will come out. That means that every year there will be 90 million tokens added. Now, here's the thing, guys. This is the chart of how the inflation works. If you think about it, by the end of this year, we'll have 90 million more tokens through the staking rewards and all that stuff. 90 million tokens divided by the 200 million tokens that are already out is about 50%. So we're going to get about 50% more tokens by the end of the year. And then what happens is the next year, now all of a sudden we have 290 million tokens. But once again, we're only having 90 million tokens being added. So now all of a sudden, it's only 30% more tokens. After year after year after year, the amount of new tokens coming in compared to the amount of circulating tokens is going to have a lower and lower ratio, which means inflation is going to drop significantly over time. So the whole bet with investing in something like this is, do you believe that demand is going to increase over time more than the supply is going to come in? And the answer, in my opinion, is yes. We are in an ecosystem that is already undervalued. We're in an ecosystem where not many people are exposed to these different DeFi projects. We're in an ecosystem where this mobile world token is already the largest token that is having a significant impact on the world and is basically providing the solution to one of the biggest problems that Cardano wanted to solve, which is basically helping out Africa and helping finance and build the infrastructure of Africa. So yes, I do believe as a long-term investment, this is going to go up. Short term, who knows what's going to happen, guys? I don't really care about the short term. If you've been paying attention to the market recently, you'll know just how crazy the short term has been. It has been going down a lot. It's been going all over the place. No one knows what's going on with crypto. But as far as a long-term investment goes, I can't imagine once they really start solving these problems and once they really start getting a lot of the money within Africa through these fees, that this project isn't just going to go up a lot. I mean, think about it, guys. Do you know how much money telecommunications makes? Do you know how much money companies like Verizon and AT&T and T-Mobile and Sprint and whatever you guys have in Europe makes? It's insane. The amount of money that is in telecommunications is just crazy. So basically, one of the big benefits of this, guys, is that these node operators are going to be making money off of these transaction fees. And those fees are going to come to people like me and you that are staking this token. So if you think about it, you are building a telecommunications infrastructure in a country that doesn't have it, or has it in a very limited sense. And now, one of the biggest continents in the world, with one of the largest populations, is now all going to be using this same decentralized service, because it is going to be the cheapest, because it can be the cheapest because of the economies of scale, 1, and 2, the blockchain rewards. So now you're going to capitalize on the growth of and development of Africa. Like, there are people out there that just invest in emerging countries. And in this situation, you are investing in Africa, which is an emerging continent. It is actually one of the fastest growing economies in the world. So you got to think that not only is this token going to go up from the tokenomics, but you got to think that the transaction fees over time are going to go up as well. So we're going to be able to capitalize on the telecommunication improvements that are undoubtedly going to happen in Africa. We're going to be able to capitalize on that. And that is just going to be insane gains over time. And people are going to want to get a percentage of those gains, and they're going to have to buy WMT tokens and stake them in order to get that, which is going to bring up the price of this. As far as purchasing this and staking this, they have their own vault where you're able to deposit your WMT and you're going to be able to stake it. They also have the Earth nodes. There's only 1,000 Earth nodes available, and I don't know if they're all taken. So if you wanted to make your own node, it might be too late, and it's like $75,000, which is crazy expensive as well. I haven't personally bought any of these tokens yet, but I'm definitely planning on it. You're able to make a difference on the world. You're able to get those staking rewards. The tokenomics are good, and the inflation is going to go down over time. And then on top of that, you're capitalizing on establishing a telecommunications network in the fastest growing economy of the world, which is Africa. It's just such an emerging continent. And the different countries in Africa have really started to expand their businesses and really build up their infrastructure. So I really do believe that in 10, 20 years, once Africa's economy starts developing a lot more, that we could see WMT have a lot more prominence and really be the Verizon of the continent of Africa. And they're going to be able to compete with all these different people that try to get in, because not only were they like the first movers, but they're also incentivizing people to invest in their coin, which is going to make their operational expenses a lot less. That pretty much sums up today's video though, guys. I really do like this project. I just love what they're doing. And I think that it's a very smart industry to be in. And they literally have 36 people on their team, all doxed, all with great backgrounds. And they do a good job with marketing. So I just think it's a win-win-win no matter how you look at it. And I can't predict short term, like I said, but I think long term it'll pay off. If you enjoyed the video or learned something today though, guys, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe. I also have my Discord link in the description where we just talk about these different crypto projects as well as NFTs, as well as just things that I'm eyeing. And we're building a pretty awesome community here as well. But yeah, hope everyone here has an awesome day.